One single squash bug can ruin your entire harvest in less than 48 hours. If you see one, you have already lost the war unless you act with the precision of a surgeon today. My grandfather grew squash through the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, and the long humid summers of the Deep South. He didn't have organic pesticides or expensive neem oil sprays. He had observation, intuition, and one specific mechanical trick that saved his patch when the neighbors were pulling up dead vines by July. Most people mistake the adult squash bug for a stink bug. That is a lethal error. They are Anasa tristis. They are armored, they are fast, and they inject a toxin into your plants that causes the leaves to wilt, turn black, and crumble into dust. This is called squash vine decline. Once the xylem and phloem are clogged by their feeding, the plant is effectively strangled from the inside out. The life cycle is the real enemy. One female can lay up to 200 eggs in a single season. Those eggs are distinct. They look like tiny bronze-colored pearls glued in a perfect geometric grid on the underside of your leaves. If you see those eggs, the clock is ticking. You are looking at a ticking time bomb of nymphs that will devour your crop in under 2 weeks. Grandfather's first rule was the morning patrol. He was in the garden every single day at 6 in the morning, before the dew had even burned off. During the heat of the day, squash bugs are masters of evasion. They hide in the deep shade of the foliage, tucked against the stems, or burrowed into the loose dirt right at the base of the plant. But in the early morning, they are sluggish. Their metabolism is slow. They sit out in the open on the upper leaves, waiting for the sun to hit them. That is your window of opportunity. He carried 2 simple tools, a wide-mouthed jar filled with soapy water and a small piece of stiff cardboard. He didn't reach for chemicals because chemicals don't kill the eggs and they don't stop the nymphs from hatching inside the leaf tissue. He used the cardboard to flick them. He'd place the jar under the leaf and nudge the bug. They have a predictable defense mechanism. They drop straight down when threatened. They fall directly into the soap bath and drown within seconds. It sounds tedious, but it takes less than 10 minutes to scan a 40-foot row of zucchini or butternut squash. The second part of his trick is the board trap. This is where he outsmarted them entirely. Squash bugs are nocturnal, but they are also seeking shelter from the heat. In the evening he would lay thin wooden boards, or even pieces of damp corrugated cardboard, directly on the soil surface at the base of his vines. By morning the bugs would have crawled under the boards to hide from the moisture and the darkness. He would lift the board, and there they would be, a dozen, sometimes 20, huddled together. One stomp, or one quick dip into the soapy jar, and you have eliminated an entire generation of pests in 3 seconds flat. This works because it exploits their biology. They aren't just roaming randomly, they are following specific pheromones and moisture gradients. By creating an artificial habitat that is easier to access than your plant stems, you force them into a trap of your own design. Now, let's talk about the damage. People often confuse squash bug wilting with vine borer damage. If you see a sudden wilt, check the base of the plant first. If you see sawdust-like frass pushing out of the stem, that is a borer, and you need a knife. But if you see healthy stems that just start drooping without the sawdust, you are dealing with a bug colony. The toxin they inject is systemic. It travels through the vascular system of the squash, turning healthy green tissue into necrotic, black, crusty debris. By the time you notice the yellowing leaves, the infestation is often systemic. There is a third component to his strategy that modern gardeners often ignore: companion planting, specifically with nasturtiums and radishes. He didn't plant these for the yield, he planted them for the smell. Squash bugs rely on scent to find their host plants. By underplanting with pungent flowers, you mask the scent of the cucurbits. It's like trying to find a specific house in a neighborhood when someone is burning sage everywhere. It disrupts their search pattern. If you are already past the point of handpicking, you need to strip the lower leaves. Don't be afraid to prune. If a leaf has more than 3 clusters of eggs, cut it off. Don't compost it. Burn it or throw it in the trash. If you put those leaves in your compost pile, you are effectively building a nursery for the next wave of bugs to hatch and march right back into your garden next season. A garden is a balance of power. You are either the apex predator in your patch, or you are a bystander watching the ecosystem collapse. The squash bug is a survivor. It has been on this planet for millions of years. It has evolved to wait out your frustration and out-reproduce your effort. To win, you must be more patient than the insect. You must have a routine that ignores the convenience of a store-bought spray and relies on the discipline of a daily walk. Think about the time you spend watering and fertilizing. If you aren't spending an equal amount of time scouting for pests, you are literally feeding the bugs for them. The harvest isn't just about the sun, the soil, and the water. It's about the intervention. It is the human element in the garden that separates a bountiful yield from a patch of dead vines. My grandfather didn't see himself as a master of nature. He saw himself as an active participant. He understood that every bug he removed today was a problem he didn't have to face in August. He was playing a game of chess against 1,000 tiny pieces, and he played it with a piece of cardboard and a jar of soapy water. If you find yourself losing your patch, don't reach for the synthetic poison. Reach for your routine. Change your habits. Be present in the dirt. Because in the end, the garden doesn't owe you a harvest. It only rewards your awareness. What you choose to do in the next 48 hours will decide whether you are harvesting squash in the fall or staring at a pile of brown stalks. The bugs are out there right now, waiting for you to get distracted. Don't give them the chance.